Hey guys, James Wilson Taylor here for Roxanne with another of our video calls. We have been catching up with everybody while we're stuck at home right now. I'm delighted to say from Badflower, Josh is on the line. How are you, Josh?
Not great.
Yeah, it's a weird time, man. I
Not
appreciate you
great.
taking the time to talk to us. Obviously, we've set this up for a while, but we should say at the time recording, we probably hit peak weird, horrible 2020 right now, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. It's both horrible and it's also so important. What's happening like as of late, as of the last like 4 days, is um is something that needs to happen. I don't even need to speak on COVID-19. Like we all know it sucks. It's ridiculous. Um and we're hoping that that's going to be gone soon, but what's happening right now, at least in America for sure, is really actually quite special. It's horrifying in a lot of ways, but it's so special because I feel like this is a conversation that's been had for generations. And for whatever reason now it feels like everybody is really paying attention and people are really starting to like choose a side and be proactive about it. And it's really cool to see. And I say that because I myself, this is the most I've been invested in this particular issue. And I'm finally like, I'm going to the protests, I'm meeting the people, I'm seeing what it's all about, and I'm understanding how different life is to a Black person in America. And my mind is blown once I like finally once that finally clicked and I finally understood this, and I just can't not get involved and talk about it and use this platform. And so I mentioned to you earlier before the interview started, I'm so happy to do this interview and thank you so much for having me. But please don't be alarmed if I hijack it to just only talk about the issues that we're facing right now, because I feel like that's the only thing I can even think about,
Yeah.
for one. And two, it's so important to sort of like, there's a mission right now with people who have like high profile social media accounts and stuff to sort of not dilute what's happening, to keep the conversation big and strong and not release music and not talk about music and not talk about bullshit and stop making videos of your cat, and only like let's just keep focused on these issues because the whole world is watching right now. And it feels like something is going to change. It really feels like we're on the cusp of it, and it's exciting.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I really, really hope so. It does. It's like you say, it does feel like for once, and I mean, we hope and we pray that it does feel like something is on the cusp of changing here. And I think it is, again, it's the openness of, I mean, we say this from both very, very privileged positions that we sit in, but actually willingness to have conversations and realize that privilege and be able to actually, like you say, reach out and chat to people. I know conversations I've had with friends and stuff where it's just like, yeah, let's actually talk about that difference in experience. Because a lot of the time it's just something that shamefully, but understandably, we haven't quite been as aware of as we should have been.
And that's so true. And that's so true. And that's what happened with me. And that's what I've seen happen with a lot of people I know. And I feel like one of the things that I'm really good at doing is changing people's opinions, just as a songwriter, as somebody who's like I'm good with words. Not like big fancy words. I'm good at using simple words and manipulating them in such a way that's really convincing and powerful. And I feel like my power in this, being a very privileged white person born from a middle class family, is not so much to simply just echo the voices of Black people, but to use my knowledge and everything about my life and everything I understand about my culture to like sway other people who are like me. And there's a ton of them who are just either indifferent or they are on the opposing side just because they're unaware, to change their opinion. I feel like that feels like my calling in all this. And that's what I've been doing. And it's proven really successful. Like I'm seeing people on social media, and even in life who are just like, holy shit, you're saying some things. And the way that you're explaining this, it's starting to click for me now too. And I'm seeing that my life is very different than other people's lives, and that everything that's happening out on the streets is warranted. Like it's so warranted. This is again, decades of pent up frustration of people not being heard. It's really, like I said, it's horrible to see some of the imagery we're seeing that the media is spreading around, but the reality of what's happening is really, really beautiful. And I've been out there. I've been out on the protests, and when we're done with this live stream, I'm probably going to leave my house and go join one if there's one happening close by. And the feeling when you're actually there and when you talk to those people is not at all what we're seeing just in mass amounts on the internet. Not what our president's the worst
Yeah,
guy
it's
sending the military and encouraging shooting. It's just awful. It's really awful. It feels like a civil war, and it feels like we're winning. It feels like the right side of history is winning.
Well, I think this has been the interesting thing in the last couple of days, and I say this at the time recording on Wednesday night right now, and it feels like, whether it's through accounts, maybe it's because I follow so many musicians online and so many people playing a proactive role, which is so nice to see. It does feel like a lot more of that positive messaging is coming through. And obviously it's coming from a terrible, terrible thing, but actually seeing that communities, they are thriving together and standing together. And that's something that was perhaps absent, like you say, in a lot of, the news footage kind of thrives on maybe the more horrible aspects of these things, but actually people
they
like
sensationalize the negative parts. And then that ends up being part of the problem. Like even the news organizations that are meant to be, or at least like designed to be more on the side of where my position is, even they are sensationalizing a lot of the negative stuff, which is just giving power to the other side. They're saying, oh, they're looters and they're doing this and they're doing all these awful things. No, that's like a very small percentage of people are actually being opportunistic and taking advantage of it. Then there's a percentage of people who are truly frustrated and angry, and they're carrying out their frustration and anger in ways that fucking let them do it. They need to. And then there's like 90% of the people who are literally there to try to stop all that from happening and just spread the message. And that's not being talked about enough. How many people are involved with this and being completely peaceful and just trying to change the world? This is what I see a lot, and it bothers me. And if I can call out anyone's bullshit right now on this stream, it's this. People are trying to silence others who don't agree with them. They're literally posting on their social accounts, if you don't agree with Black Lives Matter, if you don't agree with all cops are bastards, if you don't agree with this, if you don't agree with all these things, they list all their things that they're passionate about. Unfollow me and block me, and you're not my friend, and I never want to talk to you again. Okay, so you're asking all these people to unfollow you and block you because they don't agree with you, what you agree with, and now you're stuck with this social account where you're only talking to people who already agree with you, and you're not doing anything for the cause at all. We need to keep those people in and be civil with them, people who disagree with us, even if they seem horrible, even if they come off as racist, all the worst things. Those are the people we need to talk to most right now. We need to shift their opinions. And then they go into their own communities and go, holy shit, I kind of learned all this stuff. I want to share this with you. I didn't expect to think this way, but now I'm thinking this way. And that's how it spreads. That's how that's the only way that we make change, is by being civil with people and pulling out the empathy. Everyone has some degree of empathy, except for like straight up, sociopaths and serial killers. Like there are people who exist with zero empathy, but even people who you would consider to be the worst type of person, they do have empathy. And it's our job to try to bring that out of them so that they can understand what's happening right now and get out of their own bubble and see the world from a different lens.
Yeah, I think particularly...
Stop doing that.
Yeah. I think particularly with, again, to come back to the fact that, we are, with all the best intentions of the world, we are at the end of the day two white dudes who are very, very privileged in the position we're in, and being able to talk about this. I think that is the interesting thing, isn't it? Actually being made to understand the right point of view, being actually able to listen and have those open conversations. Because I do find a lot of the time that with people, not people spouting hate, not the people who are completely on the opposite side of this, but with people who maybe don't understand or feel alienated or don't know what to do to help, it is about that explanation. And at the same time, that shouldn't be put on the people at the center of the cause. It should be at people who've had it explained, and then you pass it on, people.
Exactly.
You pass it on to your friends right there.
When it's been explained to you, you pass it on. That's exactly right. That's what you have to do.
Yeah. 100%.
And not enough people are doing that. I think people are really stubborn, and rightfully so. They're stubborn and they're upset and they're angry, and but we have to just gulp. We just have to find our chi and be able to talk to people who disagree with us. And so I'm encouraging people to do that more. I had a lot of opinions right when this first started that were there. My opinions are completely different now, just because I was like stating my opinion from my bubble. Granted, I'm somebody who I take a lot of pride in my ability to be an empathetic person. It's why I became vegan, and I constantly talk about animal rights. There's a lot of aspects of my life, and even in my songwriting and what I say, my hatred for Donald Trump and the rest of it, there's reasons for that. I really am a passionate person, but even somebody who puts a lot of pride in that and cares about that can be so wrong and so misled. As long as I'm only getting information from my bubble and using my own personal experience to talk about things. I have to practice empathy for everyone around, especially for an issue this big that doesn't have anything to do with me. That's what it's about. It's so important. And so I did that. I was called out. on a lot of things. I was really open to it. I talked to all of our fans because it was really our fan base who were like, no, you have this wrong. This is not how you should be thinking. Like, considering the way that you are, because our fans know me, they're like, considering the way that you are, the way you treat this and this and this, the way you think about that, it doesn't add up that you think this way. And I was like, okay, please tell me more. I so open to it. And then eventually, like, reading and understanding, and then talking to my Black friends. And
yeah, absolutely, man.
I'm just like fired up. Also, I just woke up and I just got some coffee in, so now I feel like I'm talking a mile a minute. Sorry about that.
Hey, don't you dare apologize. No. Important conversations, man. Important conversations.
Sometimes I talk faster than my brain can. I don't know what you call that. I don't know if it's like an actual issue that I probably should be on meds for. I have no idea. But I'll talk faster. My brain can't keep up with my mouth.
I find that in a lot of lead singers, dude. Don't you worry. I feel that's a thing. I think that's a thing.
That's why I write songs, because then I can really like package my information appropriately and sing them.
Absolutely. That makes sense.
Or whatever.
Yeah, it all adds up. All adds up, man.
I noticed that about myself. I watch interviews back and I'm like, just slow down, and then you'll get it. If you would just slow down, you could find all the words in time.
You're all good, man. You're all good. Coming through loud and clear. Let's talk. Well, I do want to talk a little bit more generally as well. Of course, apart from these unbelievable things that are obviously occupying all our minds, but generally, how you doing, man? Because lockdown's such a weird time, and I know everyone's kind of figuring out new ways to do creative stuff in lockdown. You know, every band member's that we've talked to has kind of been talking about the same thing of trying to find ways to stay creative and trying to find ways to kind of continue that output when loads of things are cut off. I've seen you guys been doing a couple of really interesting things. I want to start with Promise Me, because you did that acoustic version that came out and all that kind of stuff. Talk to me about putting that together, because that seems like a really obvious move to do something like that during this time.
Yeah, honestly, we've been thinking about doing a lot more, yet we haven't. The Promise Me thing came out. It was a charity that asked us to do this live stream thing, and a bunch of other artists got involved, and we were just asked to do like a live stream pre-record video to help support mental health, which was like a beautiful thing, and we were so honored that they asked us to do it, and we did Promise Me for that. But then after it came out, everyone on our label and our team was like, "This is so good, we should leave this up." And then we did. So we just left it up on YouTube. And then eventually people were like, Spotify. So we put it on Spotify. Yeah, we always do what we're told. If enough people like write comments on YouTube or whatever, like, please do this. We're like, all right, fine.
One down that easy, man. One down that easy.
Yeah. Well, because they're right. If they look, who cares? If they want it, they should have it.
Absolutely. No, it was a cool idea. And on a similar note, I saw you guys were asking, what was it, like fan videos for Girlfriend? Because we started to have an official music video, right? But you were getting people to send this a little while back now, but get people to send stuff in, right?
We're not doing an official music video. Honestly, I don't think that we'll do an official music video for anything else on OK I'm Sick. We're on to the next record. We're like halfway done with it. But yeah, Girlfriend, a lot of people wanted a video for it. And so I just like, one night I went on Twitter and asked if people would do that. And they all sent in a bunch of videos. I started working on it. And then I got really overwhelmed because there was a lot more of them than I expected. And I want to like feature everybody, and they're all so good. And people are so like beautiful and fun and quirky. It's just so great. But yeah, I got overwhelmed, and then, and then the world started talking about other things, and I got very appropriately sidetracked.
Yeah,
and so I haven't touched that. I haven't, honestly, in the last 5 days, I haven't touched the record or anything, and I'm not going to. I'm just not going to. Yeah. Until I can get my mind elsewhere, until change actually happens and I can feel comfortable that I've done my part.
I'll leave on one positive note, because again, I mean, incredibly important conversation, obviously bigger things going on, but I do always try and finish by focusing on the positives here. And one of the things I've been finishing with everybody on is talking about how even though we can't go to live shows and we can't have live shows right now, they are going to come back. So I've been asking people about the highlights of the most recent run, because particularly with you guys being out here in Europe, I mean, those are some of the biggest shows you've got to do so far, particularly in Europe.
The festivals especially.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what were the highlights there on that particular run?
Well, there were 2 runs that I feel like I want to choose from. We've done 3 full runs. The first one was kind of like a practice, actually 4 technically, but I don't count the very first. It was a long time ago. The festival circuit and then the headline tour were both incredible. Like for the festival circuit, Download Festival was unbelievable. It was so fun. There's actually video of it's one of my favorite videos. Although I didn't sing very well, so I don't like watching. I like watching it with the sound off because I'm like, my voice was a little shot. But as soon as we started playing Ghost, like the second we started playing Ghost, it started pouring rain. It was completely dry until this, like the first notes of that song, and it just looks magical. And if I could just replace the vocal track with like a better live vocal track, I would post it on the internet, because it's really good. And then playing in London on the headline run when we sold out, I think it's called ULU. Yeah,
that's the one.
You were there. Were you there?
Yeah, I was there. That's the one. That's the legendary venue. I mean, well, many London legendary venues we all miss very dearly, but that's a very, very cool run for sure.
It was so cool to sell that out. That was one of my favorite moments, I think, of that whole tour, like from America to the UK, because it started in America and then it went to the UK. I think that show was one of my favorite shows I've ever played in my life.
Yeah.
So we hope that we can do that again one day.
Yeah, well, I mean, as well, that's another. I mean, pales in comparison to things we've been talking about. But a sad thing, I guess, for you guys, you were meant to be hitting the road with one of my favorite bands of all time, which is Incubus. But hopefully, those shows will happen.
I know Incubus in 311. It was going to be like the coolest nobody wears shoes tour ever. Like everyone barefoot.
That's the unofficial title, the Barefoot Trio.
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
honestly the first thing I thought when we got the offer, and I was like, nobody's going to wear shoes on this one. 311 and Incubus? Are you kidding me? No shoes. Yeah, I was really excited about it. And you know, it hasn't been rescheduled. It's been canceled, but there's always the possibility of the offer coming through again for the exact same bill, the exact same tour to happen at a later date. And we haven't had. I can't confirm or deny. Actually, no, I can deny. That hasn't happened yet, so we don't know what's happening. But we're so open to it. If the offer came back, we would definitely do it if it made sense. Timing wise with whatever else that we're
no, of course.
There's a lot of things that might. I mean, our team has been scheming some of the things that we might be able to do at this time. Although now it's all changed. With the death of George Floyd.
Yeah, 100%, man. Well, I mean,
but if things like that start to clear up, and then we're still left with COVID, and that's the only issue that that at least bands are facing. We have a lot of ideas on what we could be doing in that space that I think would get people excited. So more of that at some point.
Exciting, man. Exciting. Well, in the meantime, hang in there, man. Important conversations to be had
too.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we look forward to whenever it may come, getting to catch up with you on UK shores. Hopefully sooner rather than later. We'll have to see, I guess.
Of course, yeah. I'm sure it'll be sooner rather than later.
Fingers crossed, man. All right, but always a pleasure to chat to you, man. Hang in there. Stay safe. All right. Chat to you soon, Josh. Appreciate it. Bye, man.